Hey guys, I'm Russo and I'm back with another episode of How to Get Your Brand on TV. And today I want to talk about media lists. I think these are so important and something you can start building while you're building the other parts of your brand. Like we talked about in episode 1, just the branding in general. Then there's going to be lookbooks and media kits and all that stuff. But while you're building that out, it's important to be thinking about how you're going to contact the media and whether it's editors, producers, stylists, on-air talent. There's a lot of different people that you're going to be pitching your ideas to, and you want to start building that list. And the best way to build it, if you're not working with a publicist or PR company who will have those lists and relationships but are not going to give them to you, they're just going to hand out their contacts to you. So if you're doing it in-house and you're doing it on your own, you want to start building your media list in an Excel spreadsheet. And in there, you want to start finding I think it's best to find the email addresses for most of the people that you're looking to reach out to, and then make sure that you're also finding, their specialty, what they focus on. When it's producers, you want to make sure you're not reaching out to the hard-hitting news producer and you're going for more of the lifestyle, beauty, fashion, those type of producers. So that's one thing. The second is when you're putting your media list together, you want to make sure that you have it as up-to-date as possible. So there's always a good way to reference back to that, whether you're going to each website and making sure that that person still works there or still there, or you have the right person that is the one to be pitching for this. There may be 2 or 3. Now, there are sites that you can purchase media lists from, big, huge sites like Meltwater, and there's one called Trend Kit. There's a lot of different, and Scion, there's a lot of different places that you can buy them, but they're very, very expensive. If you have the budget for that, it's worth it because it's updated often and you can access those pretty easily. But most of the time it's hard to have that type of budget and spend that money just to get the media list when you're doing everything else. So it really takes time to build a media list, and it's just a matter of taking the time to do the research. And I've actually found it better some of the time to just build it on my own, because some of those lists are just so extensive that I have to weed through. I spend so much time weeding through, who I'm looking for, that takes a lot more time. I mean, I've built my media list over years. I've worked with publicists who have certainly helped me build my lists, and that is a really good route to go if you can, because you do have some relationship building that you can do once you do the shows. But before you ever even step foot on a set, you need to start talking to these people. And you can simply start out by, with a simple email. Well, we won't go into that too much because I want to talk about pitching in a whole other episode. For your media list, like I mentioned, you want to look for editors, and you're going to look for print magazines. So if you're talking about, Elle or Vogue, some of the big top tier magazines, or Us Weekly, Life and Style, In Touch, any of those magazines, you can go to the masthead, which we've all know about. You see the name and then you can research the email addresses. I like to actually go to the websites because sometimes they list the email addresses right there. But I also use social media. I have proof that Twitter, Instagram, DMing works amazing as long as you know that they're not against that. And I try not to invade someone's privacy too much, but you can really start to tell who's okay and open to asking for an email or who's not. So if you're looking for a specific magazine, you can do that, or the same for TV. I know this is mostly about TV, but I wanted to touch on the magazine part too. For TV, I started way long ago reaching out through social media, using Twitter actually at the time, to contact hosts and producers and reporters and say, hey, I'm an expert and I want to start pitching some ideas. Now for you with a brand, you can say, I have this brand, and as long as you make it really concise and well put together and give them the story, you may actually be able to get their email or their contact information that way, rather than having to do a lot of online research. I feel like that's the way to go now. I feel like that's a better system. And as you build that, it just makes it easier. It's kind of like, you know, creating an invite list to a party. If you're going to a party, you start to put together an Excel spreadsheet of all the friends and family and maybe who they know, of who you would invite. So I look at it the same way. I do the same thing with my media lists. And talk to them in a friendly way. Don't try to put up this, you know, really super professional, proper feel to it, because on social media it's not that. It's not as shut down. You know, maybe an email is, maybe a phone call is, but with social media, keep it casual, not super long. Maybe send a little DM saying, hey, this is my brand, I think blah, 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 the 1 or 2 sentence elevator pitch for it, and say, I'd love to reach out to you and talk to you more about it for this segment idea that I have in mind for you. And some of them are really open to it and responsive, and you may get 3 emails out of it of the right people to contact at the show. It's good to go through the show's Instagram or Twitter accounts, because there's someone handling that. Then you can also find the individual people that are on the show that you can reach out to too. So that to me has been a really good way of getting the contact information and the media list, and compiling my own media list that you hold dear to you once you have, because you know how important it is to compile that. So producers, I would also really strongly suggest reaching out to on-air personalities, experts like myself. I love when someone reaches out about their brand and tells me what they have, and even if they have story ideas, it almost makes my job a little bit easier because they created a story around it. So when you're watching the morning shows or the afternoon TV shows, or even online shows like YouTube shows, which don't discredit, those are probably getting bigger than the actual TV. So when I speak here about TV, it doesn't necessarily mean regional and national shows. It mostly does, but I also want to tap a little bit into the web episodes that are going on and YouTube channels, because I think those are a really good resource and a place to get your brand, and to also create your reel, which we'll also talk about in another episode. So I think once you start to tap into that and create this media list, and you reach out to the on-air experts, which could be your avenue in because they already have the relationships built, so there's not as much of a barrier. Then you can start to create your pitch and put ideas together to send out to these editors and producers, which we will talk about in depth, putting a pitch together and stories and just building relationships with them. So your media list is key. I'm happy to provide more individualized information and thoughts on this if you guys want that. I will leave my email, an email contact below for us to talk more. I do a lot of consulting for brands on this, and I'm happy to talk to you more about it. I hope this episode was useful and helpful, gave you a little insight into the next steps that you need to take, and I will be back for more soon. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe this, and I will see you soon.